One of the things that I find most interesting with stories is that the ones that really stick out in your mind aren't the normal ones. It's not the moments on family vacations or field trips that you remember all the details. It's the moments with the bizarre details that really play into your senses. When I was 9 years old, it was a hot, sticky summer day in Georgia. And for some reason, when it gets that hot in the deep south, you sort of lose any sense of reality and the heat gets to you. So my friends and I were riding our bikes around the neighborhood and we reached the steep hill that led to my house, which was at the bottom of the hill. And I'm feeling pretty good at this point. We've maneuvered a lot of twists and turns. So when my friend said, "Bet you can't make it down the hill," I was a little irritated. Of course I can make it down the hill. I was faster than any of them. So I sat straighter on my bike and moved into position and looked down at the highest point of the hill, and I felt the world wobble a bit and this heaviness set in the pit of my stomach. But I took a deep breath and I steadied myself. I was already too invested in this at this point. So I pushed off at full speed, and for a few seconds I felt weightless and free. I was invincible, so I pedaled faster. But the bike hit a snag in the road, and it started shaking violently, as if it had a life of its own, and it was swaying back and forth. So I gripped the handlebars, my palms slick with sweat as I mustered all of the strength in my tiny body to stabilize the bike. I tried to hit the brakes, but my feet just spun out like Fred Flintstone. It was too late. I was going too fast to stop now. So I closed my eyes to brace myself, hoping that I would be able to ride it out until the bottom of the hill. When bam! I crashed into my parents' mailbox, which was plastic, luckily, and everything went dark. I came to for a few seconds, and I was laying in the middle of the road. The pavement was hot and rough on my cheek, and in a half-conscious haze, I saw a truck speeding ahead, and I heard my friend screaming. Then I remember my dad grabbing me into his arms and carrying me away into the house. When I came to again, I found myself lying in the middle of my parents' living room. And the sun was filtering in through the glass storm door, and ahead of me, through the glass door, I could see the road where I was just a few moments ago laying. My head was propped up on a pillow and a blanket beneath me, irritating the scrapes on my legs and my arms. And there was this searing, burning pain pulsating from my wounds, especially right here, which felt worse than it looked. It ended up being a big scar on my chin for 2 months afterwards. My parents were busying themselves with the first aid kit, gathering all of the supplies like Bactine and peroxide and bandages. And at that moment, I felt this brush of fur on my face, and I felt a gentle but slightly rough sensation on my wounds. And I opened my eyes again to find myself surrounded by 4 cats. My cats, still, 4 cats. And they were just circling me, like lions in the wild. And I briefly wondered if the smell of blood brought out their instinct to feed. So I nervously eyed my cats as they began to lick my wounds. But this feeling of calm washed over me, and I felt my energy return, and the shock of the accident wearing off, as the cats continued to circle and lick my wounds and rub their fur against my cheeks. And it was a curious and comforting feeling, their sandpaper tongues. It was as if the cats had some mystical healing power that revived me once again. And in that bizarre moment, circled by a clouder of cats, I realized 2 things. 1, pride is humankind's worst enemy. And 2, dogs might be man's best friend, but cats are humankind's best friend, even if they are a little weird.